Well, my name's John Bakewell, and I was asked by Nadine some months ago if I thought it was possible to do opera with a small ensemble instead of with a piano. So I suggested she got hold of some arrangements, and we discussed it again at a later date. I primed a couple of people about the dates just to put them on hold, and a couple of weeks ago Nadine came through and said yes, it was on. So I then had the task of finding an ensemble for her. I played at the Royal Opera House for 43 years, most of that time as principal double bass. And so I'm used to the repertoire, except I'm used to playing the repertoire with an orchestra of 60, 70 plus. So it's quite a novelty playing with a small ensemble. There was a small opera group some years ago that used to go around the UK playing with single strings, a very small ensemble. So I knew that the arrangements were around. Anyway, I sort of handpicked the musicians I knew who were very familiar with the repertoire, because it's extremely difficult accompanying singers if you're not used to listening and if you don't know the actual music. So happily, all the people that I managed to pick for this ensemble are seasoned players. By seasoned players, I mean they've had a long career and were at the top of their profession while they were full-time at it. I think the results should be very interesting. I can't wait to hear the final cut, so to speak. And I think that the man who's doing the real job is up in the sound box there, Simon. He's got an amazing pair of ears, picks up on everything, and the way he puts it over to you is rather remarkable. He tells you what's wrong, but actually enthuses you to try to get it better, which is a rare talent, I can tell you.
I'm Mary Mundy. I was a cellist with the Royal Opera House Orchestra for over 30 years. I had a wonderful time working with the orchestra. I left the orchestra 2 years ago, and since then I've been playing as much chamber music as I possibly can. And this opportunity was something that I leapt at. I was invited by old friends, a colleague of mine, John Bakewell, who used to be the principal bass at the Opera House, invited me to join this group for this special recording. And it's been a great pleasure and a privilege to play with old friends and make new friends, to play opera in a reduced group. It's like chamber music, and it's wonderful to have that close, intimate connection with such a good quality voice as Nadine's. Because at the Opera House, the distance makes that kind of intimacy quite difficult. So this has been a chamber music experience for me, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a pleasure to play for Nadine because I think she's got an unusual soprano voice with a lot of character. There's a sort of richness to the sound and a flexibility that I think is very special.
Hello, I'm John Bradbury. I play the violin. I studied at the Manchester College of Music with some famous solo violinists. I got some sort of performer's diploma, I think, at the end of it all. Went to the back desk of seconds in the BBC Northern Orchestra, Manchester. I was only there 2 months. I got myself sub-leader of the BBC Welsh. I couldn't wait to get out of that first orchestra because I was positioned only about 2 feet from the piccolo. And I thought, if I stay here much longer, I'm going to be tone deaf soon. So that gave me real ambition. Okay, so I went to the BBC Welsh as sub-leader, which was quite a jump. But I've always been very interested in light music, middle-of-the-road music, a more general feel than just the classics. And the job with leading the BBC Midland Light Orchestra came up, which I thought, yes, this is for me. And I got that. Practiced my solos for about 6 months to make sure I got that job. I really thought this is for me. And it was wonderful. But it only lasted about 2.5 years because the orchestra was already being phased out. Nobody told me, but I really enjoyed that. I was offered leader of the Birmingham Symphony Orchestra under Louis Frémaux. So that was a new experience, all that wonderful French music. And that was a big learning curve for me, the discipline of a symphony orchestra, being on tour and having to lead a big orchestra like that. Yes. And then a job came up which suited me even better than those two orchestras, which was BBC Concert Orchestra in London, which did the classics, middle of the road, and the lighter stuff. You know, Friday night is music night, matinee musicale, lots of violin solos, and I really worked hard to get that job. I even bought a book on self-hypnosis, and I walked in and I was so confident, and I got it. And I did 7 years there. It was wonderful. Of course, my name was being blasted out over the air all the time I was with that orchestra. And then I went freelance on my 40th birthday. And that went very well because I was so well known by then as a fiddle player who was supposed to be able to play anything. So I tried to keep up that image. I was made founder, leader of the Royal Philharmonic Pops under Henry Mancini. Then I did 10 years of directing Johann Strauss galas for Raymond Gobet Enterprises. Another big learning curve, having to go out and take charge of the orchestra, the singer, the dancers, talk to the audience. The first time I tried to speak to the audience, I remember it was an afternoon concert in the Barbican, and I said, "Good evening, whoops, ladies and gentlemen." But and I wrote arrangements and things for myself and for the orchestra. I've been very lucky as a freelance player. I've led all the James Bond movie orchestra soundtracks for Pierce Brosnan, and I will do anything anybody asks. And it's always great fun. Freelance musicians are great fun because they always turn up and give their best. They know the last note they played is the one they'll be judged by. It's a very different feel from being contracted to an orchestra for 4 years or so, where you can get a bit sloppy. So, for this nice enterprise today, this beautiful singer, an excellent conductor, we have some of the finest musicians I've ever worked with. Lots of experience and all very good humoured. The phone rang from my diary service. All we get told is the place, the time, turn up, do the best you can. That's all there was to it, and I'm very pleased to.
I'm Ian, I'm the flute player on this project. I'm a freelance flute player. I teach and play around London. John, the bass player, contacted me last week to see if I would like to come and play, and I was very excited to be part of the project. It's been amazing so far to work with a small group. It's kind of like playing chamber music, and it's fantastic to accompany such a wonderful singer. Nadine's great. Sitting behind her, it's also like playing chamber music, following her, and that's been great fun so far. I'm looking forward to the other pieces that are coming up later on today.
So my name is Tristan Fry. I get away with playing the drums, percussion, and all that stuff, and timpani on this particular project. I got here by getting a phone call, which is often how we get to anywhere as musicians. And, well, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Hearing Nadine sing, she's fantastic. And it's really quite an eye-opener being all together with a nice, compact chamber orchestra. It's a different way of playing. But and also you'd think with timpani there, that might overdo it. But hopefully it doesn't. And it's really a very rewarding sessions, which is lovely.
My name's Robert Bourton, I'm a bassoonist, and this date came from John Bakewell. We were in Royal Opera House for several years together, and I think he asked me to do it because I know what to do with operas and accompanying sopranos. And I have to tell you that Nadine is a wonderful, wonderful singer, and it's been a pleasure to be here working with her.
Hi, my name is Iwona Boesche. I'm a violinist. I come originally from Poland, where I studied in Krakow at the Academy of Music. Then I came to London for a year, 20 years ago, to study postgraduate studies at the Royal College of Music, and somehow got involved in the music world here and stayed from there on. I've played in orchestras around London and in the UK, City of London Sinfonia and others. And currently I lead West London Sinfonia. And this is how I met Nadine, who came already 3 times to perform with my orchestra. In the last concert, she sang both Strauss' 4 Last Songs and Mahler 4th Symphony, which is a no mean feat. And yet for someone like Nadine, it's a walk in the park. Not only does she have a wonderful, velvety and big round voice, but her musicality and her discipline about her singing is second to none. It is always a great pleasure to work with Nadine.
Hi, my name is Ben Kaminski. I'm a viola player. I've just recently got involved with this project, I guess through the horn player, Dave Lee. I think Nadine is a wonderful, wonderful singer. I'm sitting right next to her during the session, and the sound is just incredible.
Hi, I'm Dave Lee, horn player. I've known Rita for a very long time. I've been involved in the Royal Opera House. I was principal horn there for 7 years in the 90s. A lot of experience doing lots of sorts of different things and still going. Got involved in this purely by Rita asking me, and John Bakewell, who's the bass player on these sessions, said, come along, this has got this interesting soprano, and she surely is interesting, and she does deserve credit. She deserves a crack, or whatever the business has to offer her, but as for enthusiasm and the routes that she's come, she deserves an awful lot of credit, and I'm very pleased to be here.